Toronto police are making a new appeal for tips in the Nicole Morin investigation on the 40th anniversary of her disappearance. Morin went missing back on July 30th of 1985 when she was 8 years old. Police released an image of a forensic age progression today showing what she might look like now. She vanished after leaving her Etobicoke apartment to meet a friend to go swimming. Investigators are offering a reward of up to $50,000 for information that leads to her location.
Despite one of the most extensive searches in Toronto police history, Nicole remains missing. Today, we're here to remember Nicole, to support those who continue to carry this loss, and to make a renewed appeal for any information.
Imagine that it was your child. Imagine that it was your neighbor's child, or your niece or your nephew. Imagine that you are the person that could bring a missing child home. And imagine that you are the person that has information that could bring Nicole home.
And for more on this, let's bring in CB24 crime analyst Steve Ryan. Steve, probably one of the most notorious cold cases in the country, and you happen to have reviewed the case as a Toronto Police homicide detective. And one thing that you told me off air is just there's no evidence to review. Tell us a little bit more about the frustration that police are probably having right now trying to search for this woman who, with very little evidence to review.
Well, this investigation has been ongoing since the day Nicole was reported missing. She certainly wasn't forgotten about. 22 Division put a task force together. I reviewed the case before I left homicide years back, and whatever tips were in that investigative box, they've been followed up with. And it's a very frustrating case for investigators because there is very little evidence for them to go on. So the reality is you can have 1,000 police officers investigating the occurrence. If there's no evidence, there's no evidence. I can tell you what happened back then would not happen today because you've got cell phones, you've got surveillance cameras. There was none of that back in 1985. So this is a case that certainly is bothersome for the police, but it certainly is one that they are still actively investigating.
And from what we know, Nicole went to go meet a friend for a swim in the apartment building's pool at 11 o'clock. She was reported missing at around 3 p.m. There's that 4-hour window. Right. And from your, experience, would you? I mean, obviously, we understand that a lot of the tenants were scrutinized and interviewed, but from your, perspective. Who do you think could have been responsible? Was it someone, do you think, in that building that might have slipped under the cover of police?
Yeah, so this is just my opinion. This certainly hasn't come from the police, but after reviewing the case the way I did, it appears as though she was taken somewhere between the 20th floor and the first floor. And I say that because it doesn't appear as though she made it out to the swimming pool. So somebody in that building, in my view, most likely took her between the 20th floor and ground level. Now, this is a 40-year-old case, so the longer this goes on, the less likely you are going to find those responsible because, with time, people age, they pass on, and that has always been my concern with this case.
And I can imagine the one thing that police are still keeping and their family is hope.
Absolutely.
And we just heard from one of the officials from the Missing Children Society, and even talking about how the fact that they've had success with one particular case 30 years later, and we found the individual. What is the likelihood of that? Do you think that this could be a situation where maybe Nicole had Stockholm Syndrome and was, this perpetrator could have threatened to kill her family, and that's why she just didn't say anything? But it seems that also seems kind of unlikely. If you're 9 years old, you're kind of aware of, this is not my parent. I know that's a lot, but this is just, it's just frustrating.
This appears to be, in my opinion, again, a crime of opportunity, whereby somebody saw the opportunity when you have a young girl by herself. I don't think this is a situation where this was a planned abduction. It's been 40 years. And the police held this press conference today. It was by design. You always try to do your press conferences when you get the most bang for your buck, if you will. And being the anniversary date, it's a good time to make this announcement today. Put out a reward. A reward, oftentimes, money is a motivating factor often. And somebody may know something. As little as a piece of information is, there's always hope that somebody knows something. Nobody keeps a secret by themselves. Everybody wants to tell something. So if you are the person that did this, perhaps you were drinking one night or you were in a sort of a funny mood and you disclosed to somebody what you may have done. This is the type of information that the police are hoping for.
And I know just from speaking with you for many years that when you're an investigator, you develop a bond with the family, and when you retire or you move on, there's just that void in your heart and your mind that we just didn't finish the job with this particular case. And I'm guessing that's that's hard to deal with for any detective who's invested so much of their time and their life trying to find Nicole.
That's a great point, and I can tell you it's almost on the daily that I think about this case, because I drive past that 627 West Mall every day going to work and on the way home. So it is one of those situations whereby you want to have the information to pass on to a family, and when you have to say it to a family, there is no new evidence. That's heartbreaking.
Well, we want to remind people that there's now a $50,000 reward for any information that could potentially lead to her location. And we appreciate your time as always, Steve. Thank you.